Good Saturday evening / Sunday morning. It's just after midnight here on Christmas Eve. Welcome to the Steelers Game Day postgame. So I'm Mason Spesky, your host here with you today. And tonight we're gonna recap the Steelers' 34-11 victory over the Cincinnati Bengals. What a game, man! This was truly a feel-good game. All levels looked amazing today. I mean, this was the best game of the year. There's no lying. Couple things. I feel good inside. All Steeler fans are going to have a good Christmas because of these things. Number one, we put up 30 points in a game. It felt like forever ago, the last time we put up 30 points in a game. I'm a freshman in college right now. To my memory, the last time that happened was when we lost the playoff game to Cleveland. And that was when I was a sophomore in high school, in the middle of COVID. So we were all still wearing masks and social distancing the last time the Steelers put up 30 points in a game, if you can believe that. So it felt good to hit that benchmark. Most NFL teams, if you look at the big picture, don't typically do that. Like even teams like Miami or San Francisco don't put up 30 points every game. So I'm not expecting 30 points every game. However, at least like 3, 4, maybe even 5 of those games, you should be putting up 30 points. To just have one is not very good. However, it's better to have one than none. That's how I'm going to take it, and that's how most Steeler fans say. Because the next 2 games, we won't be able to do that. Against Seattle or Baltimore. Seattle will play well because it's at Lemon Field. So I can't see us putting up 30 points there. Baltimore, those games are always defensive, come down to the wire showdowns. Even when we had Big Ben, Bell, and AB. So yeah, I mean, it's good that we got 30 points today, and yeah, felt good. Now on to the other thing. It felt good to beat a team by more than one score. That was the first time we won a game this year by more than one score. Obviously, Mike Tomlin remembered what San Francisco did to us week 1, what Houston did to us week 4, what the Cardinals did to us week 13, and what the Colts did to us just last week. And finally, for once, he decided to replicate it. The best memory I will have had of this was when we beat Denver in 2021. We were up by like 24-7 or something like that. And we came back, and we let them come back to almost win the game, but they threw a pick at the end and we won. The Steelers always have those kind of games. Like where we get out to strong starts, we take big leads, and we let the opponent crawl right back. Yesterday felt like it was going to be one of those days for some time. However, we did not let that happen. Credit to Mike Tomlin and his staff for not allowing that to happen. So yeah, I felt very good. So yeah. The other thing too I was appreciative of is the fact that we let George Pickens break out today. Good things happen when this man gets involved. We saw that down the stretch run last year. When they were finding Pickens and giving him more volume, and even in the preseason, when Pickens was being given the volume and he was able to get open, we thrived. if the team does move on from him, at this point he is a nuisance, yes. He's very selfish and arrogant, yes. He doesn't have the best of personalities, yes. However, if he's producing numbers like he does today, he can swear at every teammate and call every teammate every name he wants to. I would still keep him. They always say the more talented you are, it hides distractions. And it does. However, this man's still young. He's only a second-year player. They need to mature him. If Frishman Jackson's the receivers coach next year, that should be his job to help him. He'll get a new offensive coordinator that will hopefully get him involved more. And also, Tomlin will have his third year with him. But keep in mind, Pickens was the villain of all Pittsburgh sports media this week, including us. I was so mad at the guy this week. All Pittsburghers regret that, and rightfully so right now. I don't blame them. However, we need to think about this guy and how he helps. Because at this point, it's a common pattern. When we were hot last year down the stretch run, guess who was getting the ball a lot? George Pickens. When we were hot in the preseason and setting the whole NFL world on fire, guess who was getting the ball a lot? Pickens. However, when we're losing and we're finding ways to make games interesting when they shouldn't be, guess who's not getting the ball a lot? George Pickens. Moral of the story is, when you get Pickens the ball, good things happen. Yes, he is double-teamed. A lot. However, we need to take advantage of him when he's open. Look what he did at the Cleveland game. How he helped us win that. Look at how you all started today. Gave us that momentum. That was huge. And just one more comment on Pickens. If the team elects to trade him this offseason, and I hope they don't, I hope he gets traded somewhere where the number one wide receiver is elite. Somewhere like Minnesota with Justin Jefferson, although they don't need receivers, they have a couple good ones. Cincy with Jamar Chase. They probably need receivers today because T. Higgins was the only one that showed up for them. Vegas with Devontae Adams or wherever he goes. Detroit with Amon-Ra. St. Brown. Miami with Hill and Waddle. He would be a top-tier receiver and get so much volume it wouldn't be even funny. I'm going to flash back to the New England game. Patriots head coach Bill Belichick said he wanted to neutralize two players in that win. TJ Watt was one of them, and guess who the other one was? None other than George Pickens. If you put him on Cincinnati, Vegas, Miami, Minnesota, even Buffalo, or Detroit, because of Diggs and Amon-Ra, you're not going to get that. Because say we trade Pickens to Buffalo. I doubt this happens because he needs to be a Steeler, and we need to build around him. No more trading players, but I think he needs to be a Steeler. But say we traded him to Buffalo. And you have Pickens and Diggs in the same lineup. Which player do you think the coach is going to want to neutralize? Diggs. And that allows Pickens to be a game changer because of what he did today. He would be putting up those stats consistently if he was on a team with a number one receiver because he'd get open more. Flashback to the 2018 Steelers, 2018 Pittsburgh Steelers. Juju Smith-Schuster put up amazing numbers. Want to know why? Because every team double-teamed Antonio Brown. So what Pittsburgh needs to do is they need to double down on George Pickens as the receiver number 1, curb his frustrations, and get him to understand things better. And they need to go out this offseason via the draft, hopefully, or free agency, or even Deontay, if he's the guy, which I doubt he is because he's going to be overpriced. We're not going to have enough money to pay him, probably. Get a receiver in here, like a Juju, who is talented, and who could be an open man. Even tomorrow, you're going to have Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and KJ Osborne all starting for the Vikings against Detroit. Yes, Detroit's going to have 2 guys on Jefferson. Most likely Cameron Sun, former Steeler, and somebody else. Maybe Jerry Jacobs if he's still with them. But having those 2 guys on him is going to allow Nick Mullins to get Addison the ball more. It's just how the NFL functions. You throw to your open man. And that's the positives of having a tier 1 receiver and having a strong O-line. They can get the ball to the receiver more. Your number 1 guy. So, if you have 2 strong receivers and a strong O-line, you're really good. Because they're going to double team that 1 receiver. Your O-line's going to block and give the quarterback time to think and comprehend, okay, yeah, they're double teaming him. Let me throw to the opposite guy. First down every time. That's how efficient offenses operate. And if Pittsburgh can upgrade the O-line and get a wide receiver 2 that's going to be talented, I think we could do that. Quarterback situation first, and I do want to talk about the defense some because they impressed me too today. And we'll get to special teams last. Quarterback. It gives me some relief that we're probably not going to have to draft a quarterback now this offseason. This class is talented, yes. However, we have so many other needs on our roster, and there's so many other talented players. Right now, here, let's get out a cheat sheet. Because I'll talk about this. I'll get into this more on my offseason plan. It's not going to be out right after the season ends. Because I want to sit down, truly digest, and look at other players and look to see truly how it could be best done. I'll talk about the season in review and maybe do some coaching stuff then. But it won't be a whole lot of off-season planning and stuff until closer to March and free agency and all that. So I have down here positions of need. So yeah. It feels good though. We're not going to have a quarterback problem now. Here's what I would do. Keep Kenny, obviously. Re-sign Mason. Try your best to re-sign him to a 1-year, $10 million, $11 million kind of deal. Trade Trubisky for a 4th or 5th. And then sign a quarterback in free agency. And in that case, you basically traded a quarterback. You got a draft pick out of it. And you don't need a quarterback because you already signed one in free agency. Gives you extra room to get that receiver you need. Or another O-lineman. So yeah, that feels good. Before we progress. Here, let me write tight end on here too. I forgot that. Silly me. But let's look at this seat. This seat has all the positions on it. I'm going to go for each position. and after this game determine if the Steelers have a need in it still. And this will help with creating the draft plan. Quarterback. If we do things like I would say, no, we don't need to draft a quarterback. Running back. Yes, this running backs class is very talented. However, if these two backs not even weren't play the way they did today, I don't think we need a running back either. Wide receiver, I'm not going to cross that one because I do think we need another receiver. Tight end, yes, I will cross that one because I think we're good at tight end. However, if Brock Bowers does slip to us for some reason, I would 100% take him. He's a generational tight end. But that's only if he slips to us. If not, no need for a tight end whatsoever. Wide receiver and O-line, I'm not going to cross. Because I think we need those, and I think we need to draft good in those positions. Now onto the defense. This defense really impressed today. They stood up, they stood out. However, our secondary at times, although we did have 3 picks off of Browning, our secondary still at times could have done better. They have been the 4 inside of the... They have been a pain in the butt for this team this year at times. And yes, today some things were not their fault. Actually, a lot of things were not their fault. So, can't blame them for everything. However, they need to be better. And this is what I'm saying. I'm so glad we might not have to draft a quarterback now. Because there's this guy named Terron Arnold. He's a cornerback. He's a redshirt for sophomore. He attends Alabama. And he's most likely going to declare for the NFL draft this year. I love the guy. He's very talented and he's going to prosper in the NFL. That's who I want the Steelers to take in the first round. However, if we need a quarterback, we couldn't do that. So that's why I don't want the Steelers to take a quarterback in the first round. I want them to take, I think, a cornerback would be good in this case. The D-line looked good today. We handled Joe Mixon very well. Linebackers looked really good today. Hopefully Landon Roberts gets better, so yeah, for sure. So basically looking at defensive positions of need, I don't think we're in a need to draft a D-lineman. I think we're fine there. Eds, I think we're fine there. I think we need to consider a linebacker, cornerback, and safety. Those are the 3 I would target after this game. Just a brief overview of special teams. Yes, Boswell is very good and very talented for sure. Amazing job field goal kicking. Gotta love the guy. And he's always been klutz. However, his counterpart, Presley Harvin II or third, I get it. He's had family issues and I feel bad for the guy big time. However, he's not a very good punter. Shame that he didn't turn out the way we would have hoped he would. It's upsetting, to say the least, but I think we need to look at a new punter this offseason, for sure. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that. Anyways, all being considered, though, this was an amazing day. The team looked amazing and truly showed what they could have been. And that's the big question. Why didn't this team do this all year? We will never know. But one thing is this. Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett are loved by this team. Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett are the backbone of this team. Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett win for this team. And as much of a Kenny Pickett fan, guess what I'm saying today? Mason Rudolph must be quarterback 1 the remainder of the year. Go out there, do great things, and hopefully in 2024, he's the backup, if not even fighting, to be our starting quarterback next year with Kenny. Competition makes everybody better. And I truly do believe by just basically tweaking this roster minorly, this can be a contender in 2024 and beyond. We saw with Baltimore. They weren't the most electric thing last year. They missed the playoffs in 2021, and they haven't been the best in recent years. However, they're going to find a way to win the division this year because they improved where they needed to most. And that's what I think Pittsburgh's going to do this offseason. We can still be a relevant team, and we can still do great things. 4-1 against the division, including sweeping the Bengals. That's something to be proud of. It really is. The way we played today is something to be proud of and joyful about. And that is why the Pittsburgh Steelers still give me hope that they can find ways to improve this offseason, to make last year's stretch run, this year's preseason, and today, the new standard of Steelers football. That's all I have for you guys tonight. Thanks for tuning in this year. For the home games, at least, because the next two are away. Thanks for tuning in. Got 2 more games to go. At Seattle, at Baltimore. The next game's obviously at Seattle. That's going to be a tough task. This team is good. They have playmakers. We don't know who's going to be the QB yet. I imagine Geno will be better. I hope he is. Kenneth Walker, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. On the defensive side, you got Devon Witherspoon, Tariq Woolen. They have somebody on their team too named Kobe Bryant, which is kind of cool. This team is showing how competitive rebuilds work. Them and the Vikings. Seattle will be in the hunt. Pittsburgh will be in the hunt. It will be a meaningful game. Week 17. The Emerald City. Very good Pete Carroll-led team. Very consistent Pete Carroll-led team. I'm eager to see what happens. See you next Sunday, everybody. In the meantime, though, Merry Christmas. Enjoy this Christmas with your family. Eat good food. And most importantly, celebrate the birth of our Savior, Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. The true reason for this incredible season. Merry Christmas. Have a good one. See you next week for Seattle. Take care. Stay safe. Pray for Israel. Pray for peace. And as I always conclude, peace and Merry Christmas. See you next week for the Seattle game. And go Steelers.